My older sister Hazel called herself baby and insisted I help her bathe, spoon-feed her every meal. Before bed, I had to prepare her milk formula and tell her stories. When she turned 25, Hazel found the man of her dreams. She demanded I accompany her as her bridesmaid. How can baby cope without Lynn by her side? I can't be away from baby. Don't all ladies' maids have to accompany their mistresses as bridesmaids? Why shouldn't you? That was the first time I refused my sister's request. To my surprise, she grew furious, her eyes reddening, and pushed me into a bathtub full of water. I suffered severe burns, couldn't be saved, and died. To protect my sister, my parents lied to everyone, claiming I had committed suicide due to depression, hastily dismissing my death. When I opened my eyes again, I was back to the day my sister demanded I be her bridesmaid. Lynn, baby is getting married soon. How can baby cope without you by her side? My sister looked at me, distraught, her red eyes overflowing with tears. Anyone unaware of the truth would surely think she was heartbroken to part with her younger sister. But seeing this scene, I laughed coldly in my heart. I realized I had been reborn. Reborn to the exact day my sister forced me to be her bridesmaid. I lowered my gaze, my skin still intact, no blisters from scalding water, no swollen, festering sores. Heaven has granted me another chance. I was secretly rejoicing when Mom, noticing my lack of reaction, slapped me hard on the back of my head. You ungrateful wretch, you've been with your sister all these years. Your sister is getting married and you can't even offer a single congratulation. Are you dumb? From a young age, Mom always favored my sister because Hazel knew how to whine, cry, and sweet-talk to make Mom happy, while I was as naive as a log. In my past life, when I heard my sister was getting married, I was so happy I almost cried. I thought I could finally escape this overgrown child and have a life of my own. But Dad's words immediately plunged me into an icy abyss. Dad gave me a cold glance and made a definitive decision. For so many years, Hazel has been used to Lynn taking care of her. Just let Lynn go with her, then Hazel will have company. Mom cast a look at me and nodded in agreement. That's good too. Hazel has a gentle nature. I'm afraid she'll be bullied by her in-laws. Lynn going along can take care of her. After all, this wretched Lynn only knows how to do that one thing. In my past life, upon hearing these words, I tearfully refused my parents' intention to make me her bridesmaid. My sister, hearing this, shrieked like a child and threw herself into Mom's arms. Baby is so heartbroken. Lynn doesn't want baby anymore. How can Lynn abandon baby? Baby doesn't want Lynn to hate her. My parents locked me in my room. The next day, as I prepared to help my sister bathe, I had barely stepped into the bathroom when she pushed me from behind into the bathtub filled with water. I screamed desperately in the tub, struggling to stand up. She held a stick, pushing me down with all her might, her eyes filled with cruelty. Lynn, you're nothing more than a maid for baby. How dare you defy baby's orders? Don't all ladies' maids have to accompany their mistresses as bridesmaids? Why shouldn't you? I'll show you what happens when you defy baby's orders. My parents were clearly in the living room, but ignored her torment. Only when I passed out did my parents, fearing a murder charge, take me to the hospital. After I failed to be resuscitated and died, my parents, afraid my sister would be accused of murder, lied that I had committed suicide due to depression. Recalling my past life, the heart-wrenching pain of being submerged in boiling water, I couldn't hold back any longer. I swung my hand and slapped my sister hard across the face. Dad, startled, lunged at me, but I delivered a kick that sent him sprawling to the ground, yelping in pain. Mom stood frozen in place. A single cold glance from me made her retreat several steps. From a young age, to protect my sister Hazel, I was forced to learn Sanchu, Muay Thai, martial arts, and boxing. Now, I finally had a chance to use my skills. Lynn, you're rebelling? How dare you hit baby? My sister shrieked piercingly and lunged at me, completely devoid of her usual fragile demeanor, instead looking as if she wanted to kill me. It had always been this way. If I ever went against her wishes, she would throw a tantrum and report me to our parents for punishment. For years, I had feared her, feared my parents' authority to my very core, always obeying her. But in my past life, when I was pushed into that bathtub, I finally awakened. Unquestioning obedience only brought increasingly outrageous bullying. Heaven gave me another chance to live, not to be bullied again. I delivered a spinning kick, and before she could even touch me, I sent her flying. She slammed against the wall, a pathetic cry escaping her lips. Mom rushed to embrace my sister, her face pale, and yelled at me, "You wretch, are you crazy? I sent you to learn martial arts to protect your sister, not to hit your family members. Stop it right now, you ungrateful wolf, I scoffed. Ungrateful? It's because I was too conscientious that I was deceived by my parents in my past life, sacrificing myself to take care of her. My sister from childhood called herself baby, feigning weakness and cuteness, unable to take care of herself. My parents, busy with their business, wanted me to care for her at all times. They made me skip kindergarten and attend first grade with her. From a young age, my parents drilled this idea into my head. Your sister is your only sibling. She is soft-hearted, you must take care of her. Every day after school, picking up and dropping off my sister became my job. At 6, I learned to cook and clean the house, preparing the most nutritious and healthy meals for her daily. My sister was a picky eater. I put in no small effort to please her. Every evening before my parents returned, I had to soothe her to sleep, prepare her formula, and tell her stories. In middle school, when someone bullied my sister, my parents scolded me severely. Afterward, I was sent to learn all kinds of boxing and martial arts, and from then on, no one dared to bully her again. In high school, my sister struggled academically, and I tutored her day and night. Even when I had a cold and couldn't speak, I still had to teach her. In the end, my sister only managed to get into a local second-tier university. Upon hearing the news, my parents secretly altered my college applications. With scores high enough for a top university, I was forced to attend the same second-tier school as my sister. After graduating from college, my parents asked my sister if she wanted to work outside. She snuggled into Mom's arms, whining. It's full of bad people outside, Baby is scared. Baby doesn't want to leave Mom and Dad. Baby wants to stay with Mom and Dad forever. My sister didn't want to work, and my job opportunities were also snatched away. My parents said they had money and would pay me to stay home and care for her, accompanying her shopping, dining, traveling, and getting her hair done every day. However, they said they would pay me but never gave me a single penny. Every cent I spent, I had to beg from them. In my past life, I was too meek, not daring to defy my sister or my parents, and eventually I lost my life. Reborn, I absolutely will not allow myself to be weak. This time, I must fight for myself. Mom was still yelling at me. That's your sister. You don't have many blood relatives in this world. How can you be so heartless towards your sister? I looked at Mom coldly, cutting her off. Don't bring up blood relations anymore. She was born of the two of you. Why should I be responsible? Are you her mother, or am I? She's this old and can't take care of herself. She needs someone to feed her, someone to help her bathe, someone to accompany her outside, like a disabled person, intellectually challenged. I'm not her mother, nor am I her maid. From now on, I won't do these things anymore. With that, I turned and walked towards my sister's walk-in closet. Having been her errand girl since childhood, I swept all the clothes, handbags, and shoes inside out into the living room. From today, this room belongs to Lynn. Anyone who dares to step inside, I will hit them. From a young age, my sister was afraid to sleep alone at night, but disliked sharing a room with me. The whole family came up with a compromise. I would sleep by her door every night to guard her. As soon as she called out, I had to immediately wake up, get her water, accompany her to the bathroom, and tell her stories. The house had 3 rooms, one for my parents, one for my sister, and the remaining one was my sister's walk-in closet. There was no space for me. Reborn, I would not endure humiliation again. Everything that belonged to me, I would reclaim. Before closing the door, I saw my sister looking at me with a venomous gaze. I met her eyes, my own filled with provocation. My sister didn't know that the reason the suitor agreed to marry her today was entirely because of me. Very soon, I would shatter her beautiful dream into dust. After my sister graduated from university, my parents always arranged blind dates for her. But despite their decent family conditions, not a single man paid attention to her. This was because she had the build of a bear, a face as big as a platter, small eyes like sesame seeds, constantly snacked without exercising, and a waist as thick as a swim ring. I, on the other hand, had been exceptionally beautiful since childhood. Every time the suitor's family came to meet my sister, my parents would lock me in my room, not allowing me to go out, afraid I would steal my sister's attention. This time, the suitor's family unexpectedly arrived at our house just as my sister and I returned from shopping. From the moment he saw me at the door, his eyes were fixed on me. Throughout the conversation, his gaze kept darting back and forth to me. Dad inadvertently revealed that I would accompany my sister as her bridesmaid. I was startled, but the suitor's face lit up with joy, his eyes openly appraising and admiring me, which made me feel eerie. I knew this man agreed to marry my sister simply because he knew I would be her bridesmaid. With one dowry, he would get 2 women. With such a good deal falling into his lap, why wouldn't he agree? But if he knew that only my sister would be his wife, what would he choose? A spark of curiosity ignited within me. With that thought, I opened my phone, accepted the WeChat friend request he had secretly sent, and messaged him a long text. The next morning, my sister's wailing screams woke me up. I pushed open the door. She was thrashing on the floor like a spoiled brat. That rotten man, why did he break off the engagement? He clearly agreed to marry Baby. How could he treat Baby like this? Seeing me, she lunged forward, yelling furiously. It's you, you foxy vixen. You seduced him, didn't you? He said his condition for marrying me was that you had to come as my bridesmaid, you cheap hussy. I'll kill you. I raised my fist, rotating my wrist, and said coldly, dare to come up here and try. The fear of being hit yesterday still haunted her mind. She angrily withdrew her slap, her eyes immediately turning red. Mom and Dad, Lynn is bullying Baby. Baby is unhappy. A deep hatred flashed in her eyes, then she scrambled towards the window, climbed onto the sill, perched precariously, and frowned at me. Baby wants to marry him. If you don't agree to be Baby's bridesmaid, Baby will die in front of you. My parents heard the commotion and rushed over. Mom was so worried her eyes welled up with tears. Hazel, please come down. You're my only daughter. Nothing can happen to you. I let out a soundless laugh, my heart feeling squeezed by something. It turned out that in their hearts, I was never their daughter, just my sister's maid. Mom turned to me, her eyes venomous, pointing at me and scolding, Lynn, why are you so selfish? We're just asking you to agree to be your sister's bridesmaid. What's there to be so upset about? All these years, we've fed you well and dressed you nicely, and you're unhappy about such a small thing? If anything happens to your sister, I'll make sure you're buried with her. Dad's face was also dark, his voice angry. Lynn, your sister finally found a man she likes with great difficulty. If you don't agree to be her bridesmaid today, then get out of this Lynn family home. Don't you dare spend another cent of ours. My sister cried desperately, large tears falling, making my parents heartbroken and cry along. What a touching drama. I almost couldn't help but applaud them. Glancing at my sister's hand clutching the curtain tightly, I laughed aloud. Sister, no need to wait any longer, jump down. I'm telling you, no matter what you two say, I will not be your bridesmaid. If you love him so deeply, then jump. Let's see if he sheds a single tear for you after you're dead. You're shameless, you have no pride. You clearly know he likes me, yet you still beg and cling to him. If you don't even care about your dignity, what good is your life? My sister looked at me in shock. A moment later, her face turned green with anger, tears of grievance flowing endlessly, but she still didn't let go of the curtain. Seeing this, my parents rushed to pull her down. I rolled my eyes and slammed the room door in front of them. My sister cried heaven and earth all day at home, preventing my parents from going to work. The next morning, I walked out of my room in a fitted business suit. My parents and sister were having breakfast. All 3 scrutinized me. My sister looked at me with disdain, her tone sour. Dressing so nicely? Planning to go seduce men somewhere? Oh, you refuse to be my bridesmaid. Are you going to become a kept woman now? I didn't want to argue with her. I turned to leave. My sister rushed to block me again. If you don't say where you're going, don't even think about leaving this door. I took a step closer to her, saying coldly, you want to be useless at home, relying on Mom and Dad your whole life, but I don't. I have hands and feet. I have to go out and find a job to support myself. You can stay home and be your baby forever. After graduating from university, I originally had a very good job opportunity, but was forced by my parents to stay home and care for my sister. Every single penny spent in this house had to be begged from my parents. At the end of each month, I had to report detailed expenses to them. My sister spent money like water, but my parents always suspected I was secretly stashing money, using it as an excuse to scold and mock me. Not only did my sister not explain for me, but she also sided with my parents and criticized me. I had truly had enough of this life of begging for money. Clearly, I had hands, feet, and capabilities. Why should I humble myself in this house as a lowly servant? My sister's face turned beet red from my words, then she plopped onto the floor, her eyes wet with grievance, looking at my parents. What did Baby do wrong? Baby just cares about her. Why is she so cruel? Seeing this, Mom rushed to help my sister up, angrily scolding me. Lynn, do you think you're tough now? Without us raising you, you're nothing. Dad looked at me mockingly. Lynn, do you think jobs are easy to find? You have no experience, no skills. If you leave us, you won't even know your own surname. My sister chimed in, yelling, "That's right. How much money have you spent from mom and dad all these years? Now you want to just walk away. If you want to go out and work, pay back all the money mom and dad spent raising you first." I snorted coldly, looking at my sister with mockery. "Sister, in that case, I've taken care of you for so many years. Calculated at market nanny rates, shouldn't you pay me? You taking care of me is a given. You eat and drink from mom and dad. Taking care of me is what you're supposed to do." I looked at her with the eyes one would use for a fool, then chuckled. "Oh, really? So, according to you, mom and dad raised me, and I took care of you. This debt has been settled. No one owes anyone anything." My sister's chest heaved up and down with anger. I turned and left. After half a month of interviews, I fell into anxiety and despair. I had interviewed at over 10 companies consecutively, but not a single one offered me a job. My lack of work experience already made me a bit self-conscious, and now I truly felt a sense of despair. My sister, seeing this, her eyes clearly showing undisguised mockery, ate potato chips while sneering. Someone thought she was so capable. Now you know. Away from mom and dad, away from this house, you're nothing. My mood was irritated, so I left the house. I replayed my interview process over and over in my head. Although I had no experience, I showed sincerity and answered questions to the point. The managers and HR who interviewed me were also very complimentary. With a pang of doubt, I gathered all my courage and sent a message to the HR of a company I really liked. Even if I failed, I needed to know my weaknesses. However, the reply from that person astonished me. He said, "Didn't you reject us? We really liked you and had already sent an offer email to your inbox, but it was rejected by you." My fingers clutching the phone turned white. I reread the HR's message, confirming I hadn't misread it. I opened my email, but it was empty. There was no job offer email as the HR had mentioned. A thought suddenly struck me. I clicked on the deleted folder and scrolled down. To my astonishment, there were over 10 interview outcome emails. I clicked on each one. Several companies had informed me that I had passed the interview, but someone had replied, declining the job. My mood was a mix of excitement and anger. Excited because it wasn't that no one saw my strengths. I could find a job on my own. I immediately pulled out my phone and drafted a long message to send back to the HR. I told the HR that the email had been accidentally mishandled by my intellectually challenged sister at home. I hoped he could give me another chance. After doing all this, my face darkened, I clenched my fists and quickly headed home. I burst through the door and snatched the phone from my sister's hand. "Lynn, what are you doing? Give baby her phone back." I turned, dodging her outstretched hand, and opened the email on her phone. Sure enough, I saw that she had logged into my email account. My chest heaving with rage, I immediately smashed her phone, then turned and slapped her. "Hazel, you pretend to be innocent to my face, but behind my back you play these dirty tricks to harm me. Are you happy now?" Hazel struggled to her feet, yelling, "Lynn, baby won't give you a chance to leave this house. If you leave, who will provide baby with the most comprehensive and thoughtful service? You won't escape baby's grasp." I smirked. "Hazel, who gave you the confidence that I would never leave you? Even if I have to beg on the streets, I won't stay here to take care of you anymore." Ding asterisk, the phone message notification chimed. Just then, I opened WeChat. The HR manager had sent me a message. She said that after discussing with the manager, they decided to give me a chance and told me to start work next Monday. My heart immediately swelled with joy. I could hardly believe my eyes. Lifting my head again, I triumphantly showed my phone to Hazel. "My dear sister, come and congratulate me. I got the job. I don't have to beg on the streets anymore." Hazel gnashed her teeth in anger, her face starting to contort. I raised my fist to threaten her. She immediately stood still, not daring to move. That evening, as I was packing my luggage, Hazel burst in with Mom and Dad. Mom threw the clothes I had just neatly folded onto the floor. "You wretched girl, is this house lacking food or clothes for you? Are you abandoning your sister to move out for a little bit of money?" Dad kicked my suitcase away. "Lynn, if you dare to step out of this house, no matter how much you cry and beg later, we won't let you come back." Hazel hid behind Mom and Dad, smiling at me, her mind full of malicious thoughts. I looked at my neatly folded clothes scattered across the floor, and an unnamed rage flared within me. I wasn't looking for trouble, but they came to my door. I rotated my wrist, my icy gaze sweeping over them, and said word for word, "Pick up my clothes." All three of them had witnessed my strength, and they fearfully retreated several steps. Mom puffed out her chest and declared, "Lynn, you want to go out and work just for money. Whatever that job pays you, we'll give you the same. Just stay and take care of your sister." It was the same commanding tone as always. If it were before, Mom would absolutely not have offered to pay me. I would even be scolded for spending an extra penny. I knew why Mom was compromising. It was simply because lately, the job of caring for my sister had fallen on her. Hazel was hot-tempered and picky. Mom had experienced her troublesome nature and wanted to push this burden back onto me. How could I fall for that trap? I pulled out a schedule book from a drawer filled with numerous detailed tasks. I threw the book at Mom's face. "This is the daily schedule of your darling daughter. From now on, you two can pamper your baby yourselves." In the past, to take good care of Hazel, to make her happy with everything, and to prevent her from complaining to my parents, I had created a detailed chart of her daily routines and schedule. To please her, I had taught myself skills in hair care, body care, manicures, and massages. Because Hazel was extremely picky, no outside services could satisfy her. Now I was returning all these things to my parents. Without me, I wanted to see how long they could endure facing the terrible temper of the overgrown child, Hazel. After that day, I moved into a small room near my company. Although it was just a tiny single room, it was my own space. My parents' patience wore thin faster than I expected. Less than a month later, Mom came to my door, begging me to return. The reason was that Mom had taken Hazel to get her nails done. Hazel was ultimately dissatisfied and flew into a rage, splashing a bottle of nail polish into an employee's eye. The employee's cornea was severely damaged, with a risk of blindness. Enraged, the employee sued Hazel, demanding 1 million yuan in compensation, otherwise there would be no settlement. To settle the matter, my parents had to scramble everywhere, borrowing money. For years, my parents' small business had been declining. The family's small workshop couldn't make ends meet, and raising 1 million yuan was no easy feat. Because of this 1 million yuan, my parents worried to the point of losing sleep and appetite. Hazel, however, insisted she was not wrong because her nails weren't done beautifully. She threw tantrums at home, causing chaos. My parents complained endlessly, and only then did they come to me. Mom frowned, looking thinner, no longer as refined as before. "Lynn, can you come home and do your sister's nails and her hair again? Please, Mom is begging you." Seeing the mother who once looked down on me, treating me like a servant, now humbling herself and begging me for Hazel's sake, I felt a surge of schadenfreude. I slowly curled my lips, my eyes cold. Didn't Dad say that if I stepped out of this house, I should never come back? How dare I not listen to Mom and Dad's words? "If you want me back, Dad has to come and beg me himself." With that, I slammed the door in Mom's face, regardless of how she ranted angrily outside. I felt no pity. A few days later, Mom still brought Dad to my door. Seeing me, Dad's face was as dark as charcoal, and he painstakingly managed to squeeze out a sentence. "Pack your things and come back to do your sister's nails." Mom's complexion was even worse than a few days prior. Her dark circles couldn't be hidden. It seemed Hazel had tormented her quite a bit. "Lynn, I've brought your father here. Your sister throws a fit every day at home. We can't take it anymore. Come back with us and give your sister the nails she likes. Please, we're begging you." Mom had clearly abandoned all her self-respect to beg me, but how much was their dignity worth? In the past, when I worked like an ox and a horse serving my sister at home, did they ever treat me as a human being? If they wanted me to serve their baby, they should at least treat me as a human first. I smiled at my parents. "All right, I can come back to do my sister's nails and provide other services." My parents let out a sigh of relief, their faces showing joy. "But," I continued, "you two have to pay me double the market rate, otherwise it's out of the question." Mom shrieked. "Lynn, have you fallen into a money pit? You're demanding money just to do your sister's nails? How did you become so greedy? You must have secretly stashed a lot of money at home before, didn't you?" "I knew I wasn't wrong to accuse you." "All right, if you two don't agree, then so be it." I lazily rolled my eyes, reaching to close the door when Dad blocked it. He looked at me with a weary expression. "Come home, we'll pay you that money." My parents paid me double the rate, and I began doing Hazel's nails. Hazel looked at me with disdain. "You've only been out for how long and you're already dressed like this? Clearly a foxy vixen who knows how to seduce men, smelling of flirtation all over." I scoffed. "Still better than you, who dresses up and practically delivers herself to men's doors, yet no one wants her." Hazel immediately shrieked, her eyes glaring furiously. Just as she was about to open her mouth to curse me, Mom, not wanting more trouble, brought a glass of water and pushed my sister down. Hazel, don't cause trouble anymore. Just behave for a few days, we still don't have that million yuan. Don't cause us any more problems. Her tone carried a hint of strictness and reproach. Hazel, who had been pampered since childhood, immediately burst into tears. Mom is scolding baby. Baby didn't do anything wrong. Mom is mean. Mom sighed helplessly. I watched the scene with cold eyes, feeling no pity. Mom, she's your precious daughter, you can't abandon her. What if they really send her to jail after getting the money? What will she do? Don't we have a factory? Selling the factory would surely cover the debt. Are you perhaps unwilling to sell the factory? That's why you're not giving her the money. Hearing this, Hazel's eyes flashed with fierce light and she frowned at Mom. Mom, why are you so selfish? Did you lie before when you said you loved baby and would do anything for baby? You're a bad mother. Mom shot me a sharp glare, then turned to console her baby. I diligently did my sister's nails, then her hair and body care. As I prepared to leave, my parents blocked me. Before, when you were at home, you must have secretly hidden a lot of money. Now you're working. Take all that hidden money out to compensate your sister. Selling the factory won't be enough for 1 million yuan. You're also a member of this family, so contribute a little. When they needed help, they suddenly considered me a family member again. How ridiculous. I curled my lips into a smile, but there was no amusement in my eyes. Let me emphasize this again. From the moment I stepped out of this house, I ceased to be your daughter. Calling you Mom and Dad is my final respect for the two of you. I did not steal a single penny from this family. If you dare to falsely accuse me again, I will sue you both for defamation immediately. I've only been working for a month, I have no savings, and even if I did, I wouldn't give it to you. If you don't have enough money for compensation, don't you still have a house? Sell this house, you'll get 2 million yuan, more than enough to pay the debt. Don't pretend to be poor and suffering here. Before leaving, I glanced at Hazel, who was admiring her nails and hair, a hint of a smile in my eyes. She didn't know that I had secretly added a little something extra to the nail polish and hair conditioner. Hazel, who always cared so much about her appearance, how furious would she be then? I eagerly anticipated it. I had no qualms about adding fuel to the fire of this already fractured family. In the end, my parents had to sell both the factory and their home, paying the entire 1 million yuan in compensation. They used the remaining money from the house sale to buy a smaller home, much simpler than their previously large, exquisitely decorated house. On the day they moved into their new home, my parents invited me over, claiming it was for a housewarming meal, but their real intention was for me to help clean and cook. I agreed because I wanted to secretly install a hidden camera in the house, but I didn't do any of the chores. Mom single-handedly bustled in the kitchen all morning. During the meal, Hazel was still extremely picky, complaining that Mom's cooking was hard to swallow. Mom's face visibly darkened. The loving look she once had for Hazel was replaced by an expression of disgust. Dad also remained still, his brows tightly furrowed. I quietly observed everything, a fleeting smile crossing my lips. A month later, every day after work, I would review the camera footage. Hazel's hands were becoming increasingly festering, and her already thinning hair was falling out in large clumps. She threw tantrums at home, smashing things, making the house chaotic, and constantly arguing with my parents. I knew they would come to me soon. Sure enough, a few days later, the three of them appeared at my doorstep. Hazel's hair was even thinner, her scalp clearly visible at the crown of her head. Her skin, constantly scratched due to itching, had begun to fester and swell red. Her face was contorted with anger. "Lynn, what have you done to baby? Why has baby become like this? You vicious woman, did you harm baby?" Hazel lunged forward, trying to choke me, but I quickly dodged. I feigned innocence. "Sister, why have you become like this? I didn't do anything. Is it because you haven't been drinking milk formula lately? Not taking vitamins, not getting enough nutrients, that's why you're in this state." "No." I turned to Mom. "Mom, how are you taking care of sister? You're not abusing her, are you? Not giving her enough nutrition? Her body is precious, Mom. You can't treat her like that." Hazel seemed to remember something, her hateful gaze shifting to my parents. I handed Hazel a pre-prepared flyer for a beauty salon, smiling. "Look, sister, this is a beauty salon my manager recommended. Their skincare and hair transplant treatments are excellent. My manager used it, and now her hair is thick, her skin is glowing, and she's transformed into a beautiful woman. Why don't you give it a try?" My enchanting voice reached Hazel's ears. She was clearly tempted. Hazel's natural conditions were too poor, so she later developed a fanatical pursuit of beauty. In the past, to keep her from throwing tantrums, I had put no small effort into making her beautiful. Hazel's face lit up and she turned to my parents. Baby wants to do this. Baby wants to be beautiful. Mom, take baby there. My mother took the flyer, flipping through it, then gasped and threw it back at me. What kind of beauty treatment costs hundreds of thousands of yuan? Are they deliberately trying to swindle money? Lynn, what exactly do you want? I explained patiently. You get what you pay for. Good results naturally come with a high price. Aren't you willing to spend money on your sister, Mom? She's still young. What if she can't find a husband later? Hazel angrily glared at Mom. Mom, why are you so selfish? How can you bear to see baby become ugly? You too sold the house. Don't you still have money? Give it to baby. Hazel acted arrogantly, brazenly holding out her hand for money. Mom was astonished. Hazel, how can you say such things? When was I selfish? Your father and I sold both the factory and the house for you. You truly are ungrateful. Hazel scoffed, a look of contempt on her face. Mom and Dad, you too are still young. If you're out of money, go out and work to earn it back. How can you stay home all day living off old money? Give me the money you have and go find jobs tomorrow. Mom's face turned from astonishment to disappointment, gradually becoming ashen. They never imagined that the daughter they had pampered since childhood could utter such cruel and heartless words. My parents were utterly disappointed and ultimately refused to let Hazel go for the beauty treatments. Hazel went home and constantly caused trouble. Everything that could be smashed in the house was shattered. She even went around the apartment complex, spreading rumors that her parents abused her, hitting her and starving her. This caused the entire neighborhood to buzz with gossip about my parents. My parents were tormented beyond words by my sister and eventually had to compromise. They emptied all their money and savings, giving everything to my sister, and were forced to go out and find jobs. But they were older and could only find jobs like security guards or dishwashers. For years, they had been accustomed to a life of luxury. How could they endure working for others? After working for a few days, they were fired. Hazel not only spent money on beauty treatments, but also squandered it like water, and the family immediately fell into financial deficit. My parents finally saw Hazel's true colors, could no longer tolerate her, and came to me again. Mom cried and begged me, Lynn, Hazel is used to your care. You're working now and have money, you can't abandon your sister. Please let her be in your care. Dad looked miserable. Taking care of your sister is your responsibility. She's in your care now, we'll bring her to you tomorrow. I sneered, curling my lips. Only now do you two realize how much effort I put into taking care of your baby all these years? Whoever gave birth to her is responsible. Don't bring her here, it makes me sick. A few days later, Hazel came crying to my door, saying that Mom abused her and wanted to take refuge at my place. I found her disgusting and absolutely would not give her this opportunity. So I pretended to sympathize with her, joined her in scolding our parents, and even told her that our parents had come to see me, wanting to abandon her. Hazel was furious upon hearing this. At this point, I made a suggestion. Mom and Dad treated you like that. How can you let it go so easily? You have to make them pay. So, what should baby do? I have a great idea. Do you want to hear it? Hazel's face lit up, and she nodded vigorously. That night, Hazel went live on social media, crying and recounting how her parents didn't give her pocket money, didn't help her bathe, feed her, tell stories, or buy her clothes, handbags, and shoes. Even for the beauty treatments costing hundreds of thousands of yuan, they were stingy and only reluctantly paid. Hazel even displayed her parents' ID cards, urging everyone to take action against them if they ever met them, without mercy. I secretly spent a small amount of money, and the number of viewers in the live stream room immediately surged. Hazel's baby pronouncements attracted the curiosity of many people. Everyone flocked to watch. Hazel thought that everyone would sympathize after hearing her tragic story and side with her in scolding her parents. However, the comment section was filled with insults directed at Hazel. Already an adult and still calling herself baby? Aren't you ashamed? First time seeing someone so boldly mooching off others. Does this lady really think she's still a baby? Crazy woman, is this auntie's arms and legs broken? Almost 30 years old and still needs help bathing. Hundreds of thousands? My entire year's salary isn't even that much. This baby really doesn't know the real world. Netizens' patience is also limited. Don't post these things, it's sickening. Hazel, who had been confidently accusing her parents, became furious and started arguing with the netizens. How could her single mouth contend with thousands upon thousands of netizens? She was immediately scolded to tears, angrily turning off the livestream. However, some people, wanting to mock her, recorded the livestream content, edited it into a video, and posted it online. Hazel's baby pronouncements were too outrageous, attracting a huge number of netizens to watch. The video was pushed to the top of trending searches, bringing even more mockery and insults. Hazel became famous. She was recognized on the street, surrounded by a crowd of people who cursed at her. She cried right there on the street. She hid at home, not daring to go out anymore. My parents never expected such an ungrateful act from her and were completely disillusioned with her. Hazel was kicked out of the house. She tried to find me, but I used the excuse of a business trip to avoid her. After Hazel disappeared for more than 2 months, she came to find me again. I opened the door to see her hands covered in blood, her whole body trembling, her face filled with terror as she looked at me. "Lynn, save me." It turned out that during her disappearance, Hazel had fallen in with a group of thugs. Kicked out by her parents and with nowhere to go, she ended up wandering under a bridge where 2 thugs humiliated her. Shaking from hunger, she followed the thugs to survive. They fed her and she let them play with her. Hazel relied on the thugs to get by day after day. The thugs decided they would help Hazel get justice. The 3 of them went to my parents' house to surround them. Taking advantage of the moment they opened the door, they rushed in. Hazel and the thugs beat my parents with iron rods until they were dead. It wasn't until my parents collapsed to the ground, blood everywhere, no longer moving, that Hazel panicked. The 3 scattered like frightened birds. In her panic, Hazel came to me. After learning the full story, I calmed her down, made her sit, and poured her a cup of hot water. I told her to stay here and went to my parents' house alone. As soon as I left the door, I immediately called the police. The police and I arrived at the scene together. The scene was gruesome, blood was everywhere, and the air was thick with the smell of blood. The police examined the scene and found that my father had a fractured skull and had already passed away. My mother was still clinging to life and was taken away by an ambulance. I reported all the details I knew. Hazel was arrested by the police. Before she was taken away, she kept cursing me, saying I should have been beaten to death too. The 2 thugs were also caught after a few days of hiding. After surgery, Mom regained consciousness and weakly identified Hazel and the 2 thugs. Hazel and the 2 thugs were sent to prison, never to see the outside world again in this lifetime. Mom's legs were broken, and she would have to live in a wheelchair for the rest of her life. I found a nursing home for her and arranged for her to stay there. I would fulfill my responsibilities, paying the nursing home fees on time, but I would not visit her anymore. For the rest of her life, she would remain alone and solitary there, repeatedly reminiscing about how her favoritism and pampering had nurtured such a demon. On the day I officially got hired, I bought myself a beautiful dress. Everything I hadn't had before, I would strive to reclaim bit by bit from now on. In this life, I no longer yearned for love from others, but for self-love. Yeah,